30 years later, a story that changed romance forever returns. The city never sleeps. Beverly Hills shines like a diamond under the California sky, polished and perfect, yet hiding shadows beneath its glow. Cars hum down the wide boulevards, street lamps stretch across polished sidewalks, and every corner whispers with stories untold. The camera glides past elegant hotel entrances, doormen bowing, red carpets rolled out, and photographers waiting for that one shot. Cut to the reflection of a pair of hands adjusting a silk tie in a car mirror. The shot is faceless but powerful. This is a man of wealth, a man of legacy. A gold watch gleams under the faint light, the second hand ticking steadily, reminding us that time has passed. The voiceover begins, carrying a weight of nostalgia and mystery. 3 decades ago, he was the man who had everything, except love. She was the woman who had nothing, except hope. Together, they created a love story the world could never forget. The screen fills with flashes of memory. A blurred silhouette of a man offering his hand from a limousine. A woman laughing in the glow of neon lights. A close-up of a jewelry box snapping shut. These images flicker like fragments of a dream, pulling the audience back to the magic of the original story without ever showing faces. The piano melody swells into soft strings as the narrator continues, but time moves forward. Empires grow, dreams shift, and even the brightest fairy tale can be tested. The camera rises above the Los Angeles skyline, the city glittering like a field of stars. The music builds. We see champagne glasses clinking at a gala, reporters scribbling notes, flashes of luxury and power colliding with hints of loneliness in the shadows. A woman's heels walk across a marble floor. A man's silhouette gazes through a glass office tower into the night sky. The narration tightens, pulling the audience deeper. Edward Lewis built an empire. Vivian Ward built a legacy. Together they built a life. But when the world watches, when success and power invite enemies and strangers, can love still survive? A brief silence. Only the sound of footsteps on pavement. The music quiets to a single piano note hanging in the air like a heartbeat. The final words of this opening hook land with weight. Every story begins with a choice, and sometimes, even the happiest love story needs a new beginning. The music swells into a dramatic orchestral rise as the screen cuts to black. White letters fade in across the dark background. Pretty Woman 2, 2025. The orchestra halts sharp and sudden, leaving only silence, preparing the audience for the next chapter of the trailer. Asterisk, the screen flickers to life with the sound of camera shutters. A wall of flashing lights fills the frame, paparazzi bulbs bursting against the night, each flash leaving a ghostly afterimage. The chaos fades into a softer shot, the outline of a woman stepping onto a grand stage at a charity gala. She moves gracefully, her red gown catching the light like fire against the dark. The camera never shows her face, only her silhouette framed by a backdrop of applause. The voiceover cuts in, steady and filled with reverence. She was once a dreamer, standing at the edge of life with nothing but a smile. Today she stands as a symbol of hope, grace, and power. Vivian Ward, the woman who changed the world by changing his. As the voice fades, we see quick glimpses of Vivian's journey told in faceless fragments, her hands shaking another's across a boardroom table, a crowd rising to their feet. At a charity event, the outline of children running toward her in a schoolyard she helped fund. The imagery reveals her transformation not from nothing to wealth, but from survival to significance. She has grown beyond the fairy tale, carving her place as a leader and a voice for others. The music shifts to a deeper, more somber tone. The scene transitions to a tall glass skyscraper, its lights burning late into the night. Inside, a man's silhouette stands before a floor-to-ceiling window, his hands resting on the glass. A city spreads out below him, glowing like a kingdom under his watch. A golden reflection of his cufflinks and tie gleams in the faint light. He is older now, but no less commanding. The narrator's voice drops lower, thoughtful. And he, the man who once bought and sold empires, now stands at the head of an empire greater than ever before. Edward Lewis, a name that reshaped industries, redefined business, and built a world of influence. A rapid montage unfolds, Edward's hand signing contracts on a polished desk, his steps echoing across marble floors, his presence in a silent boardroom where others lean forward, listening. Yet in between these moments of power, we glimpse the shadows, an untouched dinner plate in a quiet home, a half-poured glass of wine abandoned on the counter, a man pausing to look at an old photograph framed in silver. The narration softens, but power demands sacrifice. And love, once so simple, now lives under the weight of years, distance, and unspoken truths. A slow shot reveals Edward and Vivian's paths crossing again. She steps out of a gala hall, her silhouette glowing against the golden lights. He steps into a car on the other side of town, his figure swallowed by the darkness of the night. The scenes cut back and forth, two lives, parallel yet distant, orbiting each other, but no longer standing side by side. The strings swell, dramatic, but restrained. As the narration builds, they were more than a love story. They were a revolution. Against doubt, against fear, against the odds. But even revolutions face their end, or perhaps their rebirth. The scene slows. A single red rose is placed on a marble counter. A woman's hand brushes against the petals gently, holding on to the memory of something fragile. Then cut to black. Silence fills the screen, and in the quiet, the narrator delivers a line meant to pierce the heart. Edward, Vivian, the names that once meant forever, but forever, is only the beginning. The music surges, rising into a powerful orchestral theme. Images rush past Vivian laughing at a podium, Edward staring out from his tower. The two of them walking in opposite directions on a crowded city street, their silhouettes fading into a blur. The screen holds on a final image, a faceless shadow, of two figures standing across from each other at a distance, separated by light and darkness. Their outlines glow faintly before dissolving into the night. White letters appear against black. Pretty Woman 2, 2025, Every Legend Must Return. The music cuts, leaving only the sound of faint footsteps walking away, echoing into silence. Asterisk, the screen opens with silence. A clock ticks faintly in the background. The frame zooms in on a single sheet of paper sliding across a polished glass desk. A faceless figure signs it with a fountain pen, the ink spreading like veins across the page. The pen drops, echoing like a gavel striking down. The voiceover begins, heavier now, carrying the weight of warning. Every empire has its enemies. Every love has its trials. Cut sharply to a boardroom bathed in cold blue light. Silhouettes of men and women lean forward, whispering. A projector casts financial charts across the walls, numbers collapsing in red. A faceless executive slams a file shut. The air hums with tension. Edward's silhouette stands apart, rigid and silent, as though holding back a storm within. The scene shifts. Flashbulbs explode outside a courthouse. Reporters swarm, microphones stretched like claws. A woman in high heels moves quickly through the chaos, her coat pulled tight. Cameras chase her as if the truth could be captured in a single photograph. The crowd screams questions, their voices overlapping in a blur. Is it true? Has the company fallen? What about Vivian? The music turns darker, pulsing with a steady drumbeat. The narrator continues. When power begins to slip, when the world begins to watch, trust is shattered, and the ones you love most may no longer feel safe. The next shot reveals Vivian in a quiet garden, her hands clasped around a charity report. Children laugh in the distance, but her face is hidden. The weight of worry is clear in her movements, the way her shoulders sink, the way she sets the papers aside and stares into the wind. The fairy tale glow has dimmed. Cut to Edward in a glass office. His hand trembles slightly as he grips a tumbler of whiskey, the city lights reflecting in amber liquid. Behind him, a shadow enters another presence, younger, sharp, ambitious. The camera never shows their face, only the outline of a rising star. Perhaps a rival, or perhaps something far more dangerous. The strings grow restless, climbing higher. The visuals quicken, Vivian at a gala, pausing as whispers ripple around her. A briefcase exchanged under the cover of darkness. Edward throwing open his office door, only to find betrayal written in silence. A mysterious text message flashing on a phone screen. You don't know who you can trust. The voiceover returns, low and cutting. In a world built on appearances, shadows grow where love once shined, and the greatest threat may not come from the outside. Suddenly, the screen cuts to a heated argument, two silhouettes facing each other across a vast, empty room. No words are heard, only the storm of their movements, a hand raised in anger, another clenched in despair. Vivian turns away, walking toward the light of an open door. Edward remains in darkness, his shadow long, stretching across the floor like a chain he cannot escape. The music halts for a single breath of silence. Then boom, the orchestra returns, louder than before, driving the tension to the edge. Flashes come fast and relentless, a courtroom door slamming shut, a storm raging over the city skyline. Vivian standing alone on a balcony, wind tearing at her gown. Edward gripping the steering wheel of his car, his knuckles white, his reflection fractured in the rearview mirror. The shadow of the younger rival leaning closer to Vivian at an event. Whispers exchanged under the noise of applause. The voiceover deepens, almost whispering. When love is pulled apart by greed, secrets, and time, will it break forever? Or will it rise stronger than before? The final images of this section cut one after another, sharper, faster. Vivian's hand slipping from Edward's, a rose falling into a fountain, a judge's gavel striking hard. A phone ringing in the dark with no one to answer. A faceless figure walking away into blinding light. The music crescendos into a thunderous climax, then drops into stillness. On a black screen, white text fades in slowly, one word at a time. Every fairy tale has a price. The final shot lingers. Two silhouettes standing on opposite ends of a bridge at night, rain falling between them. Neither moves, neither speaks. The screen cuts to black. Asterisk, the screen snaps open with a crash of thunder. Rain lashes against the city skyline, lightning splitting the night into fragments of white and shadow. The orchestra bursts alive, strings slashing through the silence, percussion pounding like a heartbeat. We see Edward running through the storm, his suit soaked, his silhouette heavy with urgency. Cut sharply, Vivian in a glittering gown, standing beneath a canopy of lights at a grand event. Her eyes turning as though she feels something pulling her away. The voiceover returns. Now fierce, urgent. This is not just another love story. This is survival. This is legacy. This is forever. A rapid-fire montage begins, each image hitting like a drumbeat. Vivian standing at a podium, her voice trembling as she fights back tears, flashes of camera bulbs capturing her pain. Edward in a boardroom, slamming his fist down his eyes. Walk away. Vivian reaching out to comfort a child, her hand shaking as though she carries the weight of the world. A younger rival leaning into Edward's ear, whispering something poisonous, a smirk cutting across their faceless outline. Vivian staring into a mirror, clutching her necklace as if it were armor. Edward tearing through a crowd, desperate, searching. The music rises, higher violins, frantic, drums relentless. The screen slows for a heartbeat. Vivian's heels click across marble floors as she walks toward a grand staircase. Edward, miles away, slams his car door and races into the night. The two images cross-cut footsteps and tires, distance and desperation until they feel like they're running toward each other through time itself. The voiceover deepens, heavy with emotion. Love is not the end, love is the fight. And sometimes, love is the only thing worth losing everything for. The montage explodes again, a courtroom, the gavel slamming down, champagne glasses shattering on the floor. A door kicked open, papers flying through the air. Vivian crying out in anguish, her silhouette trembling in the dark. Edward, on his knees, clutching his chest, not with pain but with despair. A single red rose falling into the gutter, washed away by rain. The music builds to its absolute peak, the orchestra screaming, a choir rising behind it. The visuals blur into a flood of emotion, passion, betrayal, power, and desperation. For one suspended moment, everything stops. Silence. A single shot lingers on the bridge at night. The same bridge from Section 3. Rain pours down. Two silhouettes stand at opposite ends, separated by distance and fear. The world holds its breath. The narrator whispers, almost pleading, After all these years, will they walk away? Or will they walk together? The silence shatters. Edward steps forward. Vivian turns. The rain freezes in midair, droplets suspended like stars. The camera swings around them in slow motion. Two figures, faceless yet familiar. Finally, moving closer, the music roars back, louder, higher, unstoppable. Final rapid flashes, their hands almost touching. The rival turning in rage, a jet taking off into the night sky. Vivian running barefoot through a hotel hallway, her heels abandoned behind her. Edward standing on the balcony of a tower, arms open against the storm. A single rose placed gently on a pillow, the final line of narration. Lands, powerful and unforgettable. This is not the end of their story. This is the next chapter. The screen cuts to black. A single spotlight fades in, illuminating bold white letters. Pretty Woman 2, 2025. Beneath it, smaller words appear, glowing faintly in gold. Every legend must return. The orchestra halts on a crashing final note. Silence, then faintly the sound of soft laughter. Vivian's laugh, timeless, echoing from the past. The screen fades to black. Coming soon.